In just a few days' time, the preliminary qualifiers for AFCON 2023 gets underway, and it features the 12 lowest ranked sides in the CAF region who will battle it out for 6 places. They will then join the remaining 42 teams that compete in World Cup qualifiers. It was due to get underway on the 21st in the opening game between Eritrea and Botswana, but Eritrea have withdrawn themselves from this competition, so Botswana get a bye through to the next round. A whistle through the other sides competing. STP will play Mauritius, Djibouti will play South Sudan, Seychelles, Lesotho, Somalia versus Eswatini, and Chad will play last but by no means least AFCON quarter-finalists Gambia.
The return of Gambia.
The return
Mate,
of
we
Gambia.
are being treated to a quite majestic march of Minnow Nation football, are we not? By the way, I'm just going to say that was not a pre-planned sort of explanation. I think that's just rolled off the tongue and sounds pretty sensational, actually. But no, mate, what a march! What a march! Everything OFC. We've also got AFCON stuff, and as you've said there, I think let's start with the fixture that you've just kind of ended that list on, and the headline tie probably from that preliminary part of this AFCON qualification. Chad against Gambia. The Gambia are making a eagerly anticipated return after a quite sensational AFCON 21 journey, where, as you've already said, got through to the quarter-final stage, only being knocked out by Cameroon, I believe it was in the end, wasn't it? Quarterfinals. It was. They entered that tournament as the lowest ranked team at 150. Now they're ranked 125, and the shoe's on the other foot to a certain extent, isn't it, mate? As they're now going to be firm favourites for this tie against Chad, who are 180, 6th, 7th worst team, sort of worst ranked team rather in the CAF region. So it's going to be great. I think that, I mean, Gambia will be almost, I dare say, buzzing just to get back on another AFCON journey, mate, after last time. I was having a quick look at the squad for this tie that the Gambia manager Tom Saintfiet has called up, and it's all the similar names, mate, that were part of that amazing AFCON journey for them last time out. All the big names you'd expect to be there: Colley, Cisse, Barrow, Gomez, Parmadou, Bob, Gay between the sticks. It's the strong squad that you'd expect, and I can't wait to see them back in action again.
It's the strong squad that I really respect, because they should beat Chad. That's meant in no disrespectful way to Chad. They should beat Chad, but it would have been easy for them to go, oh, come on, we got to the quarterfinals. We don't just put out a second-rate team. We can get past these. But they've gone into it with completely the right mindset, which is we're on a roll here in AFCON. We are on an absolute roll. They've only lost, like you say, to Cameroon in the quarterfinals of AFCON, and at the time,
amazing.
At the time, they were 150 in the world rankings. They've since gone up to 125, which technically means they're actually not in the lowest 12 ranked sides anymore. It's done before.
No.
It's done before the changes. There are now an additional 10 teams that they are now above in the CAF World Cup qualifiers, which is just incredible. And some good sides. Comoros, they're above as well. Togo, they're now above. Sides that have been quite big on the international scale, certainly in years gone by. But this Gambia side, I think that they will want to not just win this tie, this double-legger. I think that they'll want to make a statement in this game. I think they can go out and get a really, really strong result against Chad and put themselves in good stead for the group stages in the kind of full AFCON qualifications. Is that how you see this one going as well?
Yeah, mate, for sure. So we've already touched on the fact that they're favourites. Just to touch on their opponents briefly, I think actually Chad are a side that I'll hold my hands up. that I don't actually know a huge amount about. And I was doing a little bit of, skimming across some stuff. I tried to find their squad for this qualification type, which I did find. So they have got a 30-man squad. 22 of those 30 play their football in Chad. They only have a few players that play across the rest of Africa and a handful that play in Europe, not with any teams that you'd have heard of. So Gambia will be very, very strong favourites this tie. I expect them to go through with the strong squad. The respectful. I almost call it like a respectful squad. They're respecting this tie. And for me, what I'm looking forward to is I'm looking forward to seeing the tactical switch from Gambia. Actually, we watched them through AFCON, where it was a defensive setup where they relied on that extremely solid defensive unit, looking to use pace and power on the counter attack whilst keeping things extremely tight. And it'll be the opposite for this one, because Chad will be defending for the majority of these two ties. That's kind of how I see it going. A few just interesting last lines on this tie actually is the Gambia squad all joined up in Belgium, I think either yesterday or today, ahead of this. And the games aren't being held in Gambia or Chad, they're being held in Cameroon and Morocco, both home and away legs. And I don't know why that is. So if anyone is watching this and could add a little bit of context around that, we always, as we say on DNQ, we kind of love to learn as much as we can around all these nations. So put some comments down below if anyone knows kind of the reason for that. I'd be super, super interested to find out. But yeah, Gambia, a huge favourite to that time, mate. I expect them to go through. I expect to see some convincing performances. And to be honest, mate, I hope I do. After AFCON 21, where we got to witness firsthand how amazing that nation is, the passion that they come with from a footballing perspective. Let's see another Gambia AFCON journey take its first steps across the next week or 10 days, man.
Yeah, let's keep that ball rolling for the Scorpions, really. This is, I think in many ways they shocked the world, and it was just an incredible story at AFCON 21. But this is the journey for them to become an established African footballing nation. They've got the team to do it. I know they're the smallest mainland country in Africa, which is still a bit mind-boggling. You think about the players and the quality that they've got there.
Yeah, 100%.
Both Barrows, Colley, again, we've spoken about the importance of having a world-class defender. Plays for Sampdoria and is a top-class footballer. Players all across Europe. Just a very, very good footballing nation. And if they can just make, again, positive steps, I think really I'd love to see them. I don't think they'll get to the quarterfinals again, because I think teams maybe would have worked them out by AFCON 23. But I'd love for them to qualify. I think that's probably what they should have their sights set on, is just qualifying again. There's lots of sides in Africa that I deem them to now be better than, based on that AFCON 21 performance. And this is it. This is where they get the ball rolling against Chad. Like you say, a side that they will be paying respects to, but they will be hoping to kind of dominate across the two legs. And let's go Scorpions. Let's get back to it. Let's get the African journey underway. Touching quickly then on some of the other fixtures. Obviously, I mentioned at the start that Eritrea have bowed out of this one.
Yes.
Probably a side we're looking at. They may be one of those sides that drops out of the FIFA World Ranking soon. It's been a long time since they've played.
Yeah. I can't remember when it was. We actually were speaking about this a few weeks ago, weren't we? About just the lack of games that Eritrea have played as a nation. It's a shame for them to drop out. I was looking into kind of reasons why. A BBC article said there were no reasons that were given. A few African-based journalists were reporting that they've cited financial constraints as the reason that they can't complete these fixtures. So, but it's they've not played football for a while, have we? That nation, and I think there's some we don't know the full picture really. You and I do, around like the domestic landscape of Eritrea and the difficulties sort of that are there. So football kind of is playing second fiddle. But a shame, when they put together they're a super minnow, aren't they, Eritrea? But when they put together that side, when they used to call up the likes of Saeed and Goitom professional footballers, they were quite an exciting team to watch. But Botswana will be happy to go through. Botswana are through, and they're into that kind of that main group stage part of the qualification. So That's probably all for that one.
Yeah, Botswana probably would have gone through anyway. They are the third or fourth highest ranked side in this kind of competition. They're 149 in the world, which is pretty respectable. They would have probably gone through, but again, like you say, just a shame that Eritrea haven't managed to fulfil those fixtures. It's been a long time since they've played any football. Some kind of key ones around. So then the next lowest ranked side in this competition are the Seychelles, who we've seen. We've actually seen them compete reasonably recently in the Mahindra Rajapaksa trophy.
I love the way you pronounce that rolling of the R for the Mahindra Rajapaksa. It's fantastic, mate. But we did, and they won that tournament, didn't they? Won on penalties against Sri Lanka in the final. Their only game since then was a friendly yesterday against Mauritius, where they got a draw. Don't know if you knew that. It sounded like in the match report that they were under the cosh. Mauritius missed a penalty and stuff like that. But I would expect I'd expect them to be the underdogs again going into this time. They will be the underdogs. They'll probably adopt the similar approach that we saw in the Mahindra Rajapaksa, with the defensive mindset. Is it the centre back? Was it Melly?
Yes, Warren Melly.
They had that was it. Who was brilliant in that tournament. I was trying to find the Seychelles squad pre this call, couldn't find any details of it. The list was just from that Mahindra Rajapaksa, but I'd expect it to be the same kind of unit. And I still, I still expect Lesotho to go through. Obviously we know because we have played video games with Motobang and Kutlang, etc. with the Lesotho team. But did you know? I actually didn't know that they both play football in South Africa at a very good level in South Africa. So both of them are in the squad, and kind of they're experienced. They've got a defender, Lerothili, who's got 60 plus caps. They're all in the squad. So I expect them to win. The only caveat there is they've not actually played together from what I could see since their involvement in the COSAFA Cup in 2021, like earlier 2021. So it's been a little while. But hey, Seychelles, absolutely lowest ranked team now left in this. Let's see what they can do, man. Let's see what they can do. They'll be gritty. They'll be determined. They'll be everything that we saw in that Mahindra Rajapaksa, and good luck to them.
Absolutely, good luck to them. I think you've already mentioned Warren Melly will be absolutely essential if he's part of these fixtures. They'll need to keep it tight. They'll need to be horrible away from home and try and snatch something at home. Lesotho, of course, benefiting from a football side, like you say, from being engulfed by South Africa geographically. So they've got a little bit more to it than, of course, the island nation of the Seychelles, the holiday destination, as it's kind of mainly known. But good luck to both sides, of course, but particularly the Seychelles, following on from the Mahindra Rajapaksa victory that they had. And you mentioned Mauritius there, who the Seychelles drew with in a pre-tournament friendly. They play Sao Tome and Principe, which is, again, another fascinating fixture. What do you make of this one going into it? Don't know too much about Mauritius, know a little bit more about STP, but who do you think's favourites for this one?
I actually don't know, mate. I have no idea for this one. We know the only reason we know a bit more about STP is because of again, video games back in the day, and their Spanish and Portuguese influence, actually, isn't it, for STP? So Luis Leal and Edmilson Viegas and Iniesta and Luis Oliveira and all of these players, but I don't really know how they'll compete against this Mauritius squad. They've not played for a very, very long time, and it really is up. It's up in the air, isn't it? It really is up in the air, mate. Mauritius, as a side, they have only had their last couple of games. They had a couple of friendlies, both against Nepal, and they lost both of them. So and their draw with the Seychelles yesterday, and I'm fully, caveating. Don't have encyclopedic knowledge of the lineups and tactical approaches of both those teams, but my guess is STP to go through. STP to win that and to have enough over both those two legs, mate.
Yeah, it will be a really interesting one because the world rankings would say that Mauritius are slight favourites for this one, but I think, like you say, part of that is just because of the lack of games that really sort of both sides play. When
Yeah.
you get down to this stage of Mauritius are the favourites ranked at 176, but once you get kind of to that level in Africa, you really find that these sides just don't compete on a regular enough basis to take anything from it. Um, you know,
The Go on, mate. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say it's similar to the OFC that we're obviously covering as well. These teams haven't played in
Yeah.
years and years, so it's difficult. We know loads about Gambia and we know a little bit about some of these other sides, but this is kind of why it's so beneficial for sides, particularly like the Seychelles, who we've just covered, that they do get involved in other more regional tournaments, such as the CASAFA, the CACAFA, things like that. So they actually get to play some games. I think that STP do have the advantage of better individuals. We'll see what Mauritius can bring as a team unit, but losing to Nepal twice, whilst not horrifically bad, because Nepal have some good players such as Rohit Chand, etc. Nepal still aren't. They're still not a great side, so
No.
I'm probably with you on this one.
Yeah, you kind of think you're only basing it off of 3 results, and yeah, we kind of are a little bit, aren't we? The sides actually met in 2019, Mauritius and STP. STP ran out 3-1 winners. That was obviously a long time ago, and COVID's been since then, and so yeah, but STP for me on that one, pal, is where I'd lean.
Yeah, so there's just 2 other fixtures to talk about in this one. So you've got Djibouti against South Sudan.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting one. Djibouti, again, just a fantastically passionate nation.
Yeah.
South Sudan, slightly worse than their neighbours Sudan, who, of course, we saw in things like the Arab Cup, etc. Sudan, quite a solid side. They've got some good players. Don't know too much about South Sudan, though, Ryan.
Nope. No, again, this is why we like it, mate. This is why we like it. Now, we love Minnow Nation football. There's an awful lot of minnows to try and keep tabs on. So this is why it's great that because we love it and we're trying to really ingrain ourselves in it across all of the different regions of world football. When fixtures like this come around, there's nothing more than you can say apart from just to open up and be like, I'm looking forward to seeing what this team have got about. Now, Djibouti 192, South Sudan 168. This is a proper minnow clash. Sudan have played a couple of games this year, lost 3-0 to the Uzbeks, that's Uzbekistan, and lost to Jordan 2-1. So not bad results, not bad results. I don't know, I can't pick out any individuals really, mate. From a Djibouti standpoint, I know that they've been valiant in some qualifications in recent years. But they take a few beatings, mate. I'd expect it to be close, but South Sudan to edge it, and that one, that fixture, as well as the next fixture that we're going to touch on, Somalia and Eswatini, are the 2 that I'm probably personally going to try and look at in a bit more detail than the others, just to kind of bridge my knowledge gap a little bit on both those sides, mate. If I'm being honest. So South Sudan to edge it, but looking forward to kind of educating myself on what those 2 teams have got in their locker.
Yeah, it's a really kind of fascinating one, really. Djibouti have played kind of a few games across the last little bit. They lost their most recent game that I can sort of see from an actual fixed international was their last game against Niger in the World Cup qualifiers, where they lost 7-2 in that game, and they also played Algeria and only lost 4-0. Those were the second round ties that they've played most recently. But how much can you read into that? I don't know. It's really difficult. South Sudan will be a totally different test to both of those sides, who are far stronger. I think that this one will be potentially quite close. Sometimes in African games, in AFCON games, you can just predict that there will be lots of goals potentially, and I think that could be the case here across the 2 legs. But good luck to both sides. Like you say, one we'll definitely keep tabs on, just to learn a little bit more about these sides. The final fixture then is another kind of David versus Goliath situation, which is Somalia versus Eswatini. Eswatini, similar to Lesotho, another South African another country within South Africa, and they are just one world ranking lower than Lesotho. Similar side in many ways. Do you see Eswatini out-strengthening Somalia in this one?
Yeah, I do. I really, really do, mate. If I'm being honest, they'll win that across the two legs, and I'd be stunned if they didn't. Somalia, just a quick one on Somalia. Their last couple of games they've not played since last June, and their two games across 2021 were a 1-0 defeat to Djibouti and a 2-1 defeat to Oman in Arab Cup qualification. The last time they announced the squad, fun fact, they actually had 3 English-based players. A guy called Ali Abdul Kadir, who's playing for an English-based team called Hilltop. They'll be down the English footballing pyramid. And then I quite like this one, Mohammed Abu Kar, who plays for Brightlingsea Regent in the Isthmian League Prem.
Yeah, I knew that would be an Isthmian one. Yeah.
They're bang up against it. They're bang up against it for this tie. Eswatini across 2021. Yes, they've not played since July actually, but they played 8 games across 2021. Really had some insane results actually for AFCON qualification for 2021. They actually drew with Senegal away last year. So I expect them to win this. Their last involvement was in the COSAFA Cup that I've mentioned earlier in the show, and they came 3rd place. They beat Mozambique on penalties in the 3rd, 4th place playoff. So I expect Eswatini to win this one, mate. They've got a blend of experience and new blood coming through to that squad. A lot of Eswatini-based players, a team that will have cohesion, incision, and will I think comfortably win it, mate. If I'm being honest, you?
I agree. I think that Eswatini are quite a good solid African side now. I think that they'll probably cruise through this one. I think that the away leg will probably be a low victory, and then they might kind of put the afterburners on at home and really take control of this tie. I think Eswatini, difficult to kind of try and pick 2 years out the next side that's going to break kind of AFCON records and things like that. But I think Eswatini, if I had to look at all of these teams apart from Gambia that are in this stage, Eswatini would be one for me that might. I mean, they probably won't, but they are my pick to. If I had to pick one side from this list here that could then qualify for AFCON 23, they would probably be my shout. I just think they're a well-drilled side. I think they're a good side. I think they've played, like you say, if you play 8 games in a calendar year and you are Eswatini, 147 in the world, that's really good. 8 international games in a year just works on that cohesion. It means that the manager actually has something to go off. And I think that they'll be in good stead for this one. I think they'll be in good stead. And that kind of leads me nicely, as I just put my neck out on the line there, excluding huge favourites, Gambia. If you had to pick another one of these sides to and it might be none of them, to be the next AFCON dream story for 2023, who would you put your money on?
I'd go Lesotho, I think. I think. And I'm basing that on I think the same foundations that you've based your Eswatini guess on. Lesotho for me, man. Lesotho for me.
Well, I think that we've picked 2 sides that should comfortably get through this round. They're sort of the 2 biggest David versus Goliath games that Gambia aren't involved in. But yeah, so to summarise then, we're probably looking actually that all of the away sides from certainly the first legs will end up progressing. They are all the favourites. This is absolutely just again an incredible set of fixtures. We'll be all over it. Like a rash. We will be all over it across the games, most of which are on the 23rd and 27th. There's the Gambia game on the 29th as well. The double leggers for these games. We'll be all over it, bringing you latest news, updates, shocks and score results from Minnow Nation Football. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and just popping up on the screen now are of course our recent Gambia videos as we followed the Scorpions through AFCON 2021. That is all from us, and we'll see you next time.